All right, guys, good morning. Today I read Exodus 13, which speaks about dedication of the firstborn and Israel's wilderness detour. Um, if you don't know, basically every day I am reading a chapter in the Bible as my Bible study and trying to sort of study it and figure out how I can apply it to my life. Um, and yeah, so Exodus 13, the Israelites have just been freed in the last chapter. Their exodus from Egypt, which is why the book is called Exodus. Um, but then it's kind of like what happens next? Like, what do the Israelites do next? So basically, there's still instructions that the Lord is giving, like dedicate the firstborn to God um, as a remembrance of how He saved them, I think. And then keeps talking about yeast. In the last chapter, there's a lot of hammering it in, like, don't eat bread with yeast, no yeast. And I was a little bit confused on why. So in my last Bible study video, I said, like, if you know why, comment, let me know. And my grandpa sent me this link, so let's take a look at it. Um, right here. See? Fancy, right? Never seen this before, eh? What is the significance of unleavened bread? The Bible tells us the Israelites were only to eat only unleavened bread every year during Passover as a commemoration of the exodus from Egyptian bondage. Since the children of Israel left Egypt hastily, they did not have time for the bread to rise, so it was made on that very first Passover without leaven, also known as yeast. In describing this bread and why it was eaten, the Bible informs us of the following. Do not eat it with bread made of yeast, but for 7 days eat unleavened bread, the bread of affliction, because you left Egypt in haste, so that all the days of your life, you may remember the time of your departure from Egypt. Further commands regarding the eating of unleavened bread are found in Exodus 12:8, 29-2, and Numbers 9:11. To this day, in Jewish homes, the Passover celebration includes unleavened bread. According to the Hebrew lexicon, the term unleavened bread is derived from the word matzah, which means bread or cake without leaven. It's kind of just describing what unleavened bread is. So it is quite possible that unleavened bread, while it may have been heavy and flat, may have also been sweet to the taste. So it says in the Bible, leaven is almost always symbolic of sin. Like leaven that permeates the whole lump of dough, sin will spread in a person, church, a nation, eventually overwhelming and bringing its participants into bondage and eventually to death. So fancy, right? I'm highlighting things never seen before. Tell us that the Romans 6:23 tells us that the wages of sin is death, which is God's punishment for sin, God's judgment for sin. And this is the reason that Christ died, to provide a way out of this judgment for sin if man will repent of his sins. Accept Christ as his Passover sacrifice and have his heart changed so that he can conform his life to what God commands. So basically, leaven or yeast, I'll go back to full screen here, is kind of like, ooh, did not mean to do that. Wow. Sorry, I'll stop. Basically, what was I saying? Leaven or yeast is just like symbolic of sin, and it's also symbolic of how urgent it was that they got out of Egypt and how they rushed out of Egypt whenever they were given the chance, so that they always remember what the Lord did for them. There's so many things that the specific reason is just to remember why you're free and why you're saved. And guess what? We're not very good at remembering that. And neither are we. We're not super great at remembering how blessed and thankful we should be and what God has done for us and how He saved us. And we forget it a lot. We take it for granted. And the Israelites did that too. And you'll see that later. Cliffhanger, am I right? All right. Where's my thumbs up? Pretty sure it's supposed to like... I thought it was supposed to like do a thumbs up. Maybe it's not this computer. I just could have sworn. Dang, that's sad. Well, guess it's just the other my desktop. All right, guys. See ya. Bye.